The industry, man, it's not the same. Doesn't have to do with talent. It's about playing the game. The industry, real niggas is dying to get in. The industry, just to find they don't fit in. The industry ain't what it used to be. The industry's trying to control the way you MC. They want you to dress like this and talk like that. But I'm going to dress like this and talk with the bat. The industry got your word meaning nothing. The industry, fuck what you heard because he's bluffing. The industry, money, bitches, hate, but I dare you to try to take a fucking thing off my plate. The industry like, wait! But in the streets, we like, get 'em. 17 up in that thing. Catch 'em sleeping and hit 'em. The industry, if you ain't got a strong mind, the industry will break you down. It's a matter of time. The industry, vultures with nothing to feast on. See me, I'm getting my beast on. The industry, stay in the dirt, play in the dirt, test the wrong one in the industry and you will get hurt. I'm not an industry artist. I'm an artist in the industry. So I do what the fuck I want because nobody can finish me. The industry, wanted, dead or alive, new artists to sell their souls in the way they survive. The industry don't give a fuck about you. But the industry couldn't make a dime without you. The industry, I'm sick of this industry shit. The industry playing them like a industry bitch. They tried to finish me quick, but I am long, so I stand strong. Fuck a beat. Listen to the words in the damn song.
I've been having these thoughts, and we're just waiting in line to wake up.
Everything that you hoped for, what you dreamed about being a part of, is a fabrication. Your art. Your culture is the shell of other men's ambitions. Ambitions beyond what you will ever understand.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome. It's been a minute since we've done this show. It's been I don't know. I think the last time we did Go Back to Sleep was like about a month ago, maybe a month and a half. But nonetheless, me and Java were able to reconnect and make this work today. So before we go any further with the topic of the show today, or the artist who we're going to be talking about, we can't go without the random read. You know, I've always felt that this was an important part of the show because me sharing this message could be for anybody out there. And I hope that the person who's supposed to receive it gets the message and are blessed with the message. So today's random read comes from the book of James, chapter 2, from verses 14 through 26, entitled Faith Without Works. What doth it profit, my brethren, though a man say he hath faith and have not works? Can faith save him? If a brother or sister be naked and destitute of daily food, and one of you say unto them, Depart in peace, be ye warmed and filled, notwithstanding ye give them not those things which are needful to the body, what doth it profit? Even so faith, if it hath not works, is dead, being alone. Yea, a man may say, Thou hast faith, and I have works. Shew me thy faith without thy works, and I will shew thee my faith by my works. Thou believest that there is one God. Thou doest well. The devils also believe and tremble. But wilt thou know, O vain man, that faith without works is dead? Was not Abraham our father justified by works when he had offered Isaac his son upon the altar? Seest thou how faith wrought with his works, and by works was faith made perfect? And the scripture was fulfilled which saith, Abraham believed God, and it was imputed unto him for righteousness. And he was called the friend of God. Ye see then how that by works a man is justified, and not by faith only. Likewise, also was not Rahab the harlot justified by works, when she had received the messengers, and had sent them out another way? For as the body without the spirit is dead, so faith without works is dead also. Once again, this random read comes from the book of James, chapter 2, from verses 14 through 26, entitled Faith Without Works. So before we even talk about this random read, let me go ahead and get my co-host here. Java, how are you doing, brother?
Great. How's it going?
It's been a while, man. It's nice to see you. It's nice to see you.
Man, that's a good verse right there. And the analogy of the spirit and the body is the perfect one for that, because well, it's the two aspects. You have the intangible, and then you have the physical, and they both are ways to they both apply to furthering God's kingdom.
I think a lot of people get this. They get this confused. They separate the faith and they separate the works. And the way I interpret this whole thing, and only because walking in this journey, I've learned a lot of things, and this journey has definitely transformed who I used to be and who I am now. A lot of people, they confuse this thing thinking it's a separate thing of its own. I know in the Old Testament, they used to do a lot of works in order for them to please God. But after Christ died, all you need is faith. But I think, and this is just me, I don't think I'm wrong in this. I think once you have the faith, the works come automatically, because once you have that faith, you automatically transform. And although you may not think it's works, like for example, for me doing fellowships, it's works. When you pray for somebody, that's works. When you help somebody who is in need, regardless of what kind of help that is, because you're doing it in reflection of Christ, it still works. But I think people, they misinterpret this whole read thinking that, you don't have to do the works. All you have to do, you're saved by faith and grace. That's true, but it just automatically comes out once you have that faith and grace, and once you start, I guess you can say, improving your relationship with Christ, the works just automatically comes out. You may not see it as works for yourself, but other people see, and it shows. So I don't know what you could be thinking about
Well,
that, but
this is this actual topic is kind of one of the age-old conundrums that Christians have been, going on about for a while. But it's interesting. It's kind of like there are two aspects of honoring and glorifying God. Like the faith part is basically like our heart or our mind, connecting with God. But then we're in these bodies for a reason. And the works part's the physical part.
right.
It's kind of like how our own self, we can't separate out, like that verse says, and you can't separate out the body from the spirit, or else
It'll
you're
be dead.
Yeah. It's the same thing.
It goes hand in hand for sure.
With it's our way of honoring God. Faith is how we honor God with our minds and hearts, and then the works is basically honoring God through the physical.
Right.
And while we're here on this planet, the physical part is a crucial part, because then how else, the physical is a tangible way for people to see God's love through us. You could tell them this or that, and that may not sink in. Words might just go through, but they can see actions and see works in front of their face, like, especially if it's unsolicited. Like if you see something that can really help somebody and you just do it, that makes a big difference on that person. And it makes them see God's love in a way that is different than it being told to them.
I agree. The works is a tangible way of seeing things, but it's not something that should be focused upon. This is just me. I mean, the more deeper you get into your faith, because I think the faith is the spiritual part of you, which, in my opinion, I think is more, what matters more to Christ. Our fleshly bodies don't matter, more than our spirits do. I mean, our flesh is full of sin. You know what I mean? And I think that when you're focused more upon your spiritual side, the works does come out on from the flesh, and it does help people to help understand and believe where you're coming from when you have this relationship with Christ, because they're able to see it. They're able to, they
exactly
hear it. They're able to see it, touch it, whatever the case may be in the flesh. But
right.
it
makes it more tangible.
Yeah. And it convinces people more. But, ever since I started this whole thing, man, I've learned that although, because we're humans, that we always need to be fed through our flesh in order for us to believe, I guess you can say. I've kind of learned that leaning more towards my spiritual side has more validity than me leaning more with my flesh. And that's just kind of where I'm at right now.
Well, but also, you're also further along the path than some people. Like, sometimes the works part is a good way to get people onto the path.
Yes, I agree with that.
You know what I mean? And then it's not as necessary or whatever.
It's good for the unbelievers to see and make them curious about, oh my, this is nice. I mean, where's this coming from? And it gives them, it gives it. It kind of gives them that question and want them to dig into it a little bit more. If their hearts are open, or if their minds are open enough to do such things, because you're going to have a lot of people that just they're going to be naysayers no matter what you do.
Right.
But for those people who are on the fence, which is the targeted people that I'm trying to get, trying to get them to walk in this path, not necessarily convert them, because converting is not my job. I'm just merely trying to tell them that this is what Christ has done for me. It may not seem like a big deal to you, but to me, it's a huge deal, because it's totally changed my mindset. It's totally changed the type of person that I am now, to somebody who's more uplifting and more, I don't want to use new age terms like positive, but I give him more glory than I used to, because I never used to give any glory to God at all. Never. I didn't care. It was always about me. But I think going through this journey has definitely humbled me. A big part of that was me having to see myself from the days of past and realize that, man, all these things that I thought that I was, I really am not. So yeah, that's kind of where I am right now. But nonetheless, man, I'm just happy to at least share my testimonies and spread the gospel of God, and in hopes that if somebody hears it, they themselves would be kind of curious about what it is that I'm going through, that they may be able to kind of just, feed that curiosity to see what it's all about, so that they may understand what I'm sharing with them, if that makes any sense.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And I was thinking that another way that gets people curious is this is why I think God uses tragedy for certain things, because when someone goes through a tragic experience and yet they continue to be strong and continue to be to have faith and be positive, that is telling for people too, because then it's kind of like, wow, they went through all this and they're still on this path. That makes some people curious about what there is to it. You know what I mean?
No, I trust me, man. I from your perspective, I know what you're talking about. From my perspective, I definitely know I definitely know what you're talking about. There are so many times that I was just beat down, but I could have easily said to myself, oh, I give up, and curled up and just kind of given up and just kind of complain and moan about it and do nothing. But because of my faith, because of my relationship, I was able to push through. And you're right. Tragedy does do that to you. He does use those moments in order for you to kind of learn something from it. You know what I mean? And not only that, but kind of like improve yourself at the same time too. I guess if I'm wording it correctly, because you definitely learn something about yourself when you're on your worst, right? And I've always said all the time, I've always said that when you make mistakes, that's probably the best thing that you can do, because you get to understand where you're weak at, and you get to work on where you need to work at. It's a great learning experience to have to fail and have to go through hardships. So I definitely know what you're talking about when you're explaining that.
Yeah, and it shows other people too, because if you are walking in faith and you experience something tragic, but then you don't let it consume you.
Right.
You still remain positive, and you still keep moving forward.
Mm-hmm. It's almost as if it's almost as if you feel like kind of invincible a little bit,
and for other people though that aren't necessarily in the faith yet or whatever, that is something very noticeable that makes them kind of want to look into it more.
Yeah, I agree.
They're like, wow, they experienced this, but they're
full of joy instead of being depressed.
They're still happy. Yeah. How can that be? What's up with that?
Yeah.
And I kind of think that's how tragedy some can be used by God to help even more people.
Yeah, he definitely does. He definitely does things in ways that blows my mind, man. I mean, even little things too. It could be anything little. Here's a good example. Like, so I went to go see this venue that I'm gonna be having a gig for this Saturday. The guy gave me the gal's number who owns the place, and I met her, and man, all of a sudden we just started talking about God. And I said to myself, man, only God can make connections like this, because most of my connections with people who are in the journey or in the faith, most of these people are they're in the digital realm. They come into my fellowships and chat with me and all this stuff. When it comes to like the physical world, I don't really have anybody who I can relate to as far as my faith goes. And I have to be honest, man, my faith is very important to me. And so I'm at this place, and we're just exchanging stories upon stories, and praising God and putting him first. And it was just a very, very beautiful thing. And she ended up saying, hey, if you ever want to come by here, you're more than welcome to come by and have breakfast with us anytime you want to. And I was like, oh man, it's only the people of God who would do things like this, man. And it was just a joy that God has ways where when you kind of feel like you're alone, he lets you know that you're not alone, even with him. Right. But he'll connect you with a fellow brother or sister, in family. You know what I mean? So that was just an amazing connection. I didn't really expect it, especially, being in the DJ industry or whatever, man. Right. You can't. I mean,
yeah.
When you bring up God and with a lot of people here, they kind of like look at you weird, or they kind of like, you're kind of like, no, kind of like that. But nonetheless, man, I'm just happy that he's able to make these little connections. It may seem little to a lot of people out there, but to me personally, it's huge. It's huge. Every little thing that he does for me that people look at as little, it's all big to me. Everything, it's all big, because it's deeper. There's deeper meaning and purposes to the actual happening, or the actual connection, or the actual gift that came from him. If that, right. Yeah. Yep. Anyhow, so today we got an interesting one today. Very, very subtle, and to be quite honest, I mean, so we know what goes on in the music industry, even though it's not really out there. I mean, it is now, but for a lot of artists from back then, it's hard to kind of dig into people who weren't really, who weren't really out there with
what they do.
Yeah. Unless you're like, unless that's your thing. Like if you're in a heavy metal group, like back in the 70s and 80s, where they were just blatant, like Black Sabbath, right? They were just blatant about what they did, and Ozzy Osbourne was very blatant about all these things, even wrote music about it. But when it comes to like artists, like the particular artist that we're going to be talking about today, it was difficult, but we kind of know what's going on here. Especially with some of the songs that he wrote.
Right. Like some people, they really they're very good at hiding their personal life.
Yeah.
Until they get a little bit older, and they let some stuff slip.
Well, I gotta say that when it comes to these evil people, right, they really can't contain themselves. There always has to be something that they have to let out in order for people to know, even if it's however so subtle. I do believe the rules do apply, because it gives people a choice. It lets them know, like, hey, this is not so out there. It's very subtle, but my intent, I know what my intent is, and you can go ahead and spin that intent with whatever you think it is, but this is what I really mean. Like the song that we're gonna do today, right? I was reading outrageous things, thinking like, "Oh, it's about this couple who just broke up and all that." I'm like, "What are you talking about? What are you talking about?" The title
Right.
even says it itself, man.
The title says it itself. Like
Yeah,
that's the thing is, but then people at the time didn't think anything of it. Like
no, they
50 years
didn't.
ago or
Yeah,
whatever.
they didn't. And I know that this particular artist had um, minors as fans, so you know, um,
Yeah.
and he had a very popular song, and he actually admitted to what the true meaning of that song was about. We're not
Yep.
doing the. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
In 2007. Well, I guess we can just tell people who it is at this point.
Yeah, we're gonna be talking about Neil Diamond today.
Yep. Good old Neil Diamond.
Um, it was the song "Sweet Caroline." I mean, that was a pretty obvious song there, but
Yeah. For those of you who don't know, actually, he admitted it. Neil Diamond admitted this in 2007. Who he wrote the song about, and "Sweet Caroline" was basically that's not the song we're doing ultimately the lyrics, but where this is leads up to it because it reveals like the nature of Neil, and that song was actually written about Caroline Kennedy,
mm-hmm.
JFK's daughter, and she was about 11 or 12 years old at the time that the song was written. And Neil Diamond admitted that he wrote it about her. And that's very creepy for one. But then he tried to change, later on, he tried to change his story again and say that his, uh, his change story says basically that he was trying to write about his wife, Marsha, but the song needed a name with 3 syllables instead of 2.
Yeah, that's what I
I'm like,
read.
really?
And
I don't think so.
you know what's and this is perfect for the title of this particular show. It's called "Go Back to Sleep" for a reason. It's I mean, you go to karaoke bars, you go to weddings, you go to whatever you go to, and a lot of people want to hear this song, and they start singing it themselves without even knowing the true meaning of what the song is about. So, hence the title, "Go Back to Sleep," because this is exactly what's happening to people. The quote normies, they just sing along to these things. They're giving credence to the evilness of what these songs mean. It's kind of ironic because I'm a DJ. And that's what I do for my business, but I at the same time I look at these songs and I say, man, I know what these songs mean. You know?
Yeah, I can't even listen to that song really anymore. Once
I
I
I
figured it
don't.
all out, I was like, okay, and I'm done with Neil.
Yeah.
I mean,
So
he also tried to say uh that he had just saw a picture of her on like Time magazine and got inspired by this picture
as a
and
matter
wrote
of
about
fact,
that, but
I have the
the
picture.
lyrics are too and the lyrics are way too intimate on that song for it to just be a passing lyrics about his wife or a picture or anything.
I'll
He
I'll
was
be
really into this kid.
I'll be sharing that picture. I do have the picture, and I also have an article of him actually revealing um the meaning of that song. But that's not the song that we're talking about today. But the song that we're talking about today, pardon me, is in the same lines of it. It's in
Totally the
this.
same line, but even more blatant.
Well, the title says it itself, man. Before we even get to the song, let's go ahead and do a little bio on Neil Diamond himself.
Yeah.
Let me go ahead and share this with you first. Let's see here. Here we go. Let me know if you can see it.
Yep.
Okay, and let me share it with the people out there too. Here we go. Pardon me. All right. So this comes from allmusic.com. We're gonna go. This is typical of what we do in this show for this particular show. We always go in a bio for the artist, and then after that we go through the lyrics. Now for you guys on YouTube's or for you guys on YouTube, unfortunately I can't share videos because you know how it goes there, man. As much as I really want to go and share, I can't because my channel will be zapped. I've already gotten copyright strike twice, and if I get one more, that's it. I'm done. But nonetheless, if you guys want to join us later on, there's 2 places that you could watch the video. I mean, I did find a live performance of this song. If you want, I'll share the links with you guys afterwards. But there's 2 places. You can either go to the foxhole.app, or you could go to my Twitch channel. But let's go ahead and start with this bio first, and we'll get to that later on. So this bio comes from William Rollman. Rollman? Is that how you say it? Yeah, that's how you say it. So it reads, rising from humble roots in working-class Brooklyn to global success, Neil Diamond became one of the best-selling recording artists of the 20th century, as well as a dynamic, internationally known touring act and skilled songwriter whose compositions produced numerous hits for himself and others. He wrote songs. Wow, he wrote a lot of his own songs, didn't he?
Yep.
In a career that began in the early 1960s as a staff songwriter. Oh, he started as a songwriter. I didn't even know that. At New York's legendary songwriting institution, the Brill Building, he soon transitioned into performing and recording his own songs, finding success among the emerging pop singer/songwriter market with early highlights like Solitary Man and Kentucky Woman. A move to Los Angeles at the end of the 60s coincided with a shift toward more adult-oriented pop and subsequently ushered in Diamond's heyday as a major star. Melodic chart toppers like Cracklin' Rosie and Song Sung Blue kept him on top and opened the door for ambitious project material like the Grammy Award-winning Jonathan Livingston Seagull soundtrack in 1976 conceptual Beautiful Noise album. He branched into acting with a star turn in the 1980 remake of The Jazz Singer, which also produced major hits like Love on the Rocks and America. I actually like that song, America, man. While his popularity fell off during the later half of the 80s and much of the 90s, Diamond remained a bankable touring act, and by the end of the century, he was again on the upswing, thanks in part to a cultural resurgence of his enduring 60s hit Sweet Caroline, which became a staple at major sporting events for teams like the Boston Red Sox. His status as a still relevant legacy artist was further bolstered by a pair of critically lauded stripped-down albums produced by Rick Rubin. Man, Rick Rubin, he gets a lot of these old artists, huh?
Oh yeah,
and
his hands in a lot of pies.
Yep. During the 2000s, heading into the 2010s, Diamond continued to tour, released music, and accumulate impressive honors, including his introduction to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, Kennedy Center honors, and a Lifetime Achievement Grammy. During a 2018 world tour celebrating his 5 decades in music, it was revealed that Diamond had been diagnosed with Parkinson's disease, ending his live career. Nevertheless, he remained active in the studio, returning with 2020's classic diamonds. We talk about this all the time, where they come with their greatest
They
hits.
rebrand the same songs.
Yeah, yeah.
Kind of ironic that they had the Kennedy Center honors right there.
Right?
Weird. Okay, Neil Leslie Diamond was born January 24th, 1941 in Brooklyn, New York. The first of two sons born to Akiba Diamond, who operated and owned a series of dry goods stores in the New York City borough, and Rose Diamond, which I wonder if that Crackling Rose is about. Except for 2 years in the mid-40s that the family spent in Wyoming while Akiba Diamond served in the military, Neil Diamond grew up in Brooklyn, albeit in different neighborhoods, as his father moved from store to store. He later claimed to have attended 9 different schools and to have suffered socially as a result. He showed an early interest in music and took up singing and playing the guitar after seeing Pete Seeger perform at a camp he was attending as a teenager. In June of 1958, he graduated from Abraham Lincoln High School, and that fall he enrolled at New York University as a pre-med student after winning a fencing scholarship.
Interesting. He was into fencing. I didn't even know that.
During this period, he spent much of his time writing songs and trying to place them at music publishing companies. He formed a duo with Jack Packer, a friend of his younger brothers, and as Neil and Jack, they signed a publishing contract with Allied Entertainment Corporation of America and a recording contract with his subsidiary, Dual Records. This resulted in the release of 2 singles, You Are My Love, What Will I Do in 1960, and I'm Afraid Till You've Tried Love in 1961. Diamond's first commercially released recordings. In 1996, he reissued, big surprise, What Will I Do on his box set In My Lifetime. The discs were not successful. Neil and Jack broke up when Packer enrolled in the Manhattan School of Music in January 1961. Diamond, meanwhile, had stopped attending NYU in 1960, but in 1961 he enrolled in the University School of Commerce, where he maintained his student status until 1965. Although many accounts of his life repeat the erroneous story that he dropped out of NYU in 1962 just short of earning an undergraduate degree. Biographer Rich Weiserman learned the truth by consulting the university's records.
On his own, Diamond continued trying to break into the music business as a songwriter. In 1962, he briefly had a deal at Sunbeam Music. Interesting name for a music company, huh? Which published some of his songs, followed by a stint at Roosevelt Music. While he was there, an assignment came in from Dot Records to submit a follow-up to Pat Boone's novelty hit, Speedy Gonzales. 10 of the firm's writers eventually collaborated on a song appropriately called 10 Lonely Guys, which Boone recorded and which reached number 45 in the Billboard Hot 100 in October of 1962. Diamond, one of the 10, was credited under the pseudonym Mark Lewis, but this was his first appearance in the charts. Also in 1962, he composed Santa, Santa, was recorded by the Rockefellers. Wow. And released by Scepter Records. Or is that Scepter? Scepter, yeah. I think that's Scepter. Scepter Records. Interesting names, man. All these names in the with these companies and the groups that they deal with, it's very interesting names. But his next career development involved his own performing. In early 1963, he was signed to a singles deal by Columbia Records, and on January 24th, his 22nd birthday, he had his first solo recording session, followed by a second session 3 months later, the results emerged on July 2nd as Columbia's single 42809, Clown Town, At Night, his first solo release. Unfortunately, the record flopped and he was dropped by the label. Marrying schoolteacher Jay Posner, with whom he had 2 daughters, Diamond kept plugging away, even opening his own tiny office above the jazz club Birdland in Midtown Manhattan. In early 1965, his song, Just Another Guy, was recorded in the UK by Cliff Richard and placed on the B-side of the number 1 single, The Minute You're Gone, released on the British Columbia label. In February 1965, he met the successful writers and producers Jeff Barry and Ellie Greenwich, which took an interest in him and got him signed to songwriter-producer Jerry Lieber. Didn't we talk about this guy before, Jerry Lieber? That name sounds familiar. And Mike Stoller's Trio Music Publishing Company for 3 months. This association was over by the time Lieber and Stoller had one of their clients, Jay and the Americans, record Sunday and Me, a song Diamond had written at Trio. Released as a single in the fall of 1965, the song peaked at number 18 in December, giving him his first real hit as a songwriter.
By then, he had made other progress in his career. On June 25th, he signed a deal with Barry and Greenwich for publishing and recording. The 3 forming Talleyrand Music with Diamond as president. This appears to have prompted his decision to drop out of NYU. Talleyrand shopped both Diamond songs and Diamond as a recording artist. And on January 6, 1966, a contract was signed with Web 4, the company controlling the independent Bang Records label. Soon after, Diamond was back in a recording studio, and on April 4th, Bang released his label debut single Solitary Man, produced, as all the subsequent Bang discs would be, by Barry and Greenwich. Solitary Man gave him his first chart entry as a recording artist, peaking at number 55 on the Hot 100 in July. Diamond quickly followed Solitary Man with his second Bang single, Cherry Cherry, released in July 1966, which gave him his first substantial hit, peaking at number 6 in October. The single's B-side, I'll Come Running, was covered by Cliff Richard, who scored a top 40 hit with it in 1967. When song publisher Don Kirshner heard Cherry Cherry, he called Diamond into his office and asked if the songwriter had a similarly upbeat tune that could be used by the Monkees, a group put together for an upcoming TV series. Diamond played him I'm a Believer, a song intended for his debut album. Kirshner liked it, and Diamond, Barry, and Greenwich recorded a backing track that Kirshner took to California and had the Monkees sing over. By the time I'm a Believer was released by the Monkees, second single in the fall of 1966, the group was a teeny bopper phenomenon and the LP had advance orders of over 1 million copies. It shot to number 1, where it stayed for 7 weeks, becoming the biggest single of 1967.
I didn't even realize that he wrote that song.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, he wrote a few songs for artists like that.
Wow. Diamond's debut LP, The Feel of Neil Diamond, released in August 1966, was a rush job, featuring Cherry Cherry and Solitary Man, along with his hit covers of hits like La Bamba and Monday Monday. It barely charted. Also featured, however, was I Got the Feeling, Oh No No, an original composition that would be his next single in October. It reached number 16 in December, but the 45 was also significant for its diamond-penned B-side. The Boat That I Row. British singer Lulu quickly recovered the song, and her version became a top 10 UK hit in the spring of 1967. Diamond's fourth bang single, You Got to Me, was released in December 1966 and peaked at number 18 in March 1967. In February, his song, Look Out, Here Comes Tomorrow, was featured on the Monkees' chart-topping second album, More of the Monkees. He must have wrote a lot of songs for that TV show. The following month, a little bit. Oh, this is a Monkey song right here. A Little Bit Me, A Little Bit You, and Diamond Pen follow up to I'm a Believer entered the single chart for the Monkees. It peaked at number 2 in April. Also in March, Bang released its fifth Diamond single, Girl, You'll Be a Woman Soon. And this is the song that we're going to be talking about today, which became his second top 10 hit in May. In April, Ronnie Dove entered the charts with My Babe, written and produced for him by Diamond. It peaked at number 50 in May. Bang's sixth Diamond single, Thank the Lord for the Nighttime, appeared in June, peaking at number 13 in August. That month also saw the release of Diamond's second LP, Just For You, which peaked at number 80. Diamond's sixth Bang single, Kentucky Woman, followed in September, and it reached number 22 in November, giving him his sixth consecutive top 40 hit.
After nearly 2 years of hit recording and songwriting, Diamond had a falling out with his producers and his record label. As popular music turned more serious in the late 60s, he became less satisfied writing simple pop songs, and instead of Kentucky Woman, he proposed that his sixth Bang single be Shiloh, an introspective ballad not about the Civil War battle, but about an imaginary childhood friend that he had written and recorded.
Ooh, that is strange. His sixth song talking about a quote unquote imaginary friend.
Yep.
Yo, creepy.
Bang, thinking the song less commercial than Kentucky Woman, used it as an LP track on Just For You instead. And Diamond, who was also dissatisfied with his royalties, found a loophole in his contract, which it turned out failed to bind him exclusively to Web 4 and Talleyrand. He therefore declared himself free to sign a recording contract with another company, and soon lawsuits were flying. On March 12th, 1968, a judge denied Web 4's request for a temporary injunction preventing Diamond from signing to another record label while his contract dispute was making its way through the courts. It was a key decision. The lawsuits would continue for another 9 years until Diamond settled them on February 18th, 1977, when he purchased his Bang Master recordings. But on March 18th, 1968, he signed a 5-year contract with Uni Records, a division of MCA. The first product of the deal was another introspective autobiographical ballad, Brooklyn Roads, released in April. Diamond followed with the more up-tempo 2-bit Man-Child that month, but neither that single nor its follow-up, Sunday Sun, which appeared in September, restored him to the top 40. And Velvet Gloves and Spit, that's weird, Diamond's debut album for Uni, failed to chart. Meanwhile, there was more upheaval in his life. Now romantically involved with TV production assistant Marcia K. Murphy, he left his wife and moved to California. Their divorce was final in November 1969, and he married Murphy a month later. Isn't
Professionally,
it around?
well, go ahead. Go ahead.
That's kind of near around the time he wrote Sweet Caroline, I think, wasn't it?
1969?
Yeah.
I don't know. I couldn't tell you. I don't know much about Neil Diamond, to be honest. All I know is that he sung that song. That's why it's a surprise to me to know that he wrote songs for the Monkees. I didn't even know that.
Yeah, it's pretty weird, huh? Well, I'm just thinking, like, what if there was some other real reason for his splitting up with his wife?
Um,
Being that it was
in regards to that song, possibly.
yeah,
What's relatable to that
stuff.
song?
Mm-hmm.
It could be. It could be. I mean, a lot of these artists from back then, man, they're into some R. Kelly stuff, man. If you know what I'm talking about.
Exactly.
They like, who was another one? Jerry Lee Lewis was another guy who was into young girls. Yeah, it's a weird community, man. It really is.
Yeah, and it kind of coincides when he jumped to this other label. I'm looking at labels too.
Yeah, the name of these labels
and changes.
The name of some of these labels are kind of weird. Well, not weird, but it just happened that they have Luciferian ties to it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Professionally, Diamond tried to stem the tide of his career's nadir by recording at American Sound Studio in Memphis, beginning on January 8th, 1969. Working with producers Tommy Cogbill and Chip Moman, he took more of a gospel-tinged country rock approach, starting with the single Brother Love's Traveling Salvation Show, quickly released as a single, which peaked at number 22 in April, his best chart showing in 18 months. He quickly returned to Memphis and cut an album also called Brother Love's Traveling Station Show that was released in April and peaked at number 82. He looks like he's trying to copy Johnny Cash there a little bit. The song that finally sealed Diamond's commercial comeback was his next single. Here we go, Sweet Caroline. Good times never seem so good. My goodness, man, what a subtitle.
Right.
These people are into some
that can't
weird
be off
stuff.
of just a picture.
I can't believe the stuff that these. Well, I guess I can believe what they're into. You know, the price that you got to pay for the fame that you want.
Right. Exactly.
A catchy tune that peaked at number 4 in August. The same month, it earned a gold record certification for sales of 1 million singles. Diamond followed Sweet Caroline with the gospel tinge. See, gospel, man. Holly Holy, released in October 1969 and scored another big hit. The track peaking at, check this out, number 6 in December. Wait. So you're telling me Holly Holy was number 6? Wow.
Right.
Wow. Okay. It was his second gold and eventually platinum single, and the song earned a cover by Junior Walker and the All-Stars that made the R&B Top 40 in 1971. The Diamond recording was included on his 5th LP, Touching You, Touching Me. How interesting of a title is that?
That's a horrible title also.
That's a very interesting title. Released in November 1969. There's a lot of things going on in this particular year. And it's funny if you take...
So that's the European, the name of the European album as well.
Touching You, Touching Me?
That album.
You talking about
Touching You, Touching Me. Kind of, that album title creeps me out.
Well, it's not by coincidence that it happened to be this year. I mean,
exactly.
Kind of looks like a 666 if you ask me. for 1969. Because if you take that 1 out, you flip that 9, both 9s, you got yourself a 666 there. Released in November 1969, it was his most successful effort so far, peaking at number 30 and going gold in a little over a year.
Meanwhile, Diamond's career resurgence was not going unnoticed at his former label, Bang Records, which hired American sound studio musicians to record a new musical track for Shiloh under Diamond's vocal. With a sound more like his contemporaneous records, the single reached number 24 in April 1970. Diamond responded by returning to Memphis himself and cutting a new recording of Shiloh, which was added to later editions of Velvet Gloves and Spit. A more ambitious effort was Suleiman, which that one is very strange too.
Yeah, you shot me something there.
Yeah, the lyrics to that one is a very weird song where he's kind of praying to this random like a lowercase god to help try and get this god to help him attract this woman, basically.
Witchcraft.
Yeah. Released in April as an excerpt from the side-long folk ballet of African-styled songs to be featured on his next album, Tap Root Manuscript, in the fall. The single reached number 30 in May. Diamond's next new single, Cracklin' Rosie, famously referring to the cheap wine Cracklin' Rosé, appeared in July and became his biggest hit yet, topping the charts in October. Also recorded in July 1970 was the live album Gold, which had been recorded in March at the Troubadour nightclub in Los Angeles. Another major commercial success, it peaked at number 10 in September. As a result of Cracklin' Rosie and Gold, Diamond had graduated to the theater and arena circuit as a live act by the fall of 1970. For his next single, he made the odd choice of releasing a cover of He Ain't Heavy, He's My Brother, a song that had been a top 10 hit for the Hollies the previous spring. Competing with Bang's release of the former B-side Do It, it still managed to peak at number 20 in December. Along with Suleiman and Cracklin' Rosie, served as a good calling card for Tap Root Manuscript, which appeared in November. Consistent with Diamond's concurrent status, the album peaked at number 13.
Reportedly, Diamond worked months on the lyrics of his next single, the autobiographical I Am, I Said. You know, man, there's only one I am here, man. There's only one I am. It ain't you. Released in March 1971. An impassioned statement of emotional turmoil, the song was very much in tune with the confessional singer-songwriter movement of the time, and it became a major hit, peaking at number 4 in May, with even its B-side, Done Too Soon, previously released on Taproot Manuscript, earning a chart placing. I Am, I Said, earned Diamond his first Grammy nomination for Best Pop Vocal Performance Male. He returned to the record racks in the fall with the ballad Stones, released in October, followed by an album of the same name in November. The single reached number 14, while the LP stopped just short of the top 10 and went gold in 2 months. Diamond's next album, Moods, was prefaced by another of his standards. Song Sung Blue, released in April 1972, became his second number 1 hit on the Hot 100 in July and his 4th gold single, earning Grammy nominations for Record of the Year and Song of the Year. In August, Diamond performed 10 shows at the Greek Theater in Los Angeles, recording them for a live album. The double LP set Hot August Night, which appeared in November, cemented his status as a concert attraction by hitting number 5 and going gold in a month. A single of Cherry Cherry was excerpted from the release and made number 31.
Hot August Night marked Diamond's ascension to the superstar status, and it also marked the end of a phase of his career. After 3 weeks of shows at the Winter Garden on Broadway in October, he temporarily retired from live performing. At the same time, he had completed his recording contract, and he signed a lucrative deal with Columbia. His first project for the new label was a song score for the film version of the best-selling novel Jonathan Livingston Seagull. It was a troubled project, and by the time the movie was released in October 1973, both Diamond and Richard Bach, the book's author, were suing the film producer. Reviews were awful, and the picture bombed. But Diamond's score, released as a solo album, was a hit. The single B only grazed the top 40, but the LP reached number 2 in December. It also won Diamond the 1973 Grammy Award for Best Album of Original Score written for a motion picture or TV special. Even after completing Jonathan Livingston Seagull, Diamond stayed off the road. He was next heard from in the fall of 1974 when he released his first regular album for Columbia, Serenade, prefaced by the single Longfellow Serenade, which was his biggest hit since Song Sung Blue, peaking at number 5 on the Hot 100 and number 1 on the AC chart in November. Serenade hit number 3 in December, another instant gold album that has since gone platinum.
Another year went by before Diamond finally returned to live work, doing a few shakedown shows in California and Utah in late January and early February 1976. Pardon me. Before launching a tour of Australia and New Zealand, followed by more dates in the U.S. in the spring. Meanwhile, working with Malibu neighbor Robbie Robertson of the band as his producer, he had finished the new album Beautiful Noise. Its song reflecting back in his early 60s in Tin Pan Alley. Lead-off single If You Know What I Mean, issued in June, reached number 11 on the Hot 100, and the album, which followed a couple weeks later, hit number 4. On July 1st, 1976, for a hefty fee, Diamond made his Las Vegas debut at the Aladdin Hotel, though he would avoid the entertainment mecca afterward until well into the 90s. In September, he returned to the Greek Theater in Los Angeles, this time with both cameras and recording equipment in tow. On November 25th, 1976, he appeared as one of the special guests at the band's farewell concert at Winterland in San Francisco, performing the Beautiful Noise track Dry Your Eyes, which he had co-written with Robertson. The show was filmed and recorded for the 1978 movie, the triple LP set, The Last Waltz. Both of Diamond's albums of 1977 were associated with television specials. First came Love at the Greek, like Hot August Night, a 2 LP concert set drawn from shows at the Greek Theater. It appeared in February 1977, 2 weeks ahead of the Neil Diamond special, broadcast February 21. The LP reached number 8 in April, selling 1 million copies by July, with another 1 million registered since then. Diamond undertook a lengthy tour of Europe in the spring and summer. In November, he was back with a new studio album, I'm Glad You're Here With Me Tonight, again tied into a TV special. Simultaneously released single Desiree went top 20, while the album reached number 6. Wow. In number 6, there's the 6 again.
Once again.
In February 1978, racking up the usual sales number for 1 million copies, with another million to come.
One of the album tracks for I'm Glad You're Here With Me Tonight was a sad breakup ballad called You Don't Bring Me Flowers. The Diamond had written for a television pilot about reversed sex roles. Hence the novelty of having a man complain about romantic neglect. Label mate Barbra Streisand knew a big ballad when she heard one, especially one co-written by her personal lyricist, Alan and Marilyn Bergman. And she quickly covered the song, which appeared on her Songbird album in May 1978. A disc jockey, realizing that both Diamond's and Streisand's versions were in the same key, spliced them together and began playing the duet he had created on the air, leading to requests for a record. On October 17th of 78, that desire was satisfied as the two singers cut a new recording of the song. Credited to Barbara and Neil, the single was quickly released and soared to number 1 on the pop charts, eventually earning a platinum certification. Diamond had been working on an album to be titled after a tune called The American Popular Song, written by pianist Tom Hensley. The LP was to be a collection of covers. The unexpected success of the duet upset those plans, however, and Diamond quickly cobbled together an album for release under the title You Don't Bring Me Flowers, which appeared in November. By the end of January, it peaked at number 4, having been certified platinum with a double platinum award to follow. In February, Columbia released another single from it, the up-tempo Forever in Blue Jeans, co-written by Richard Bennett, which reached the top 20.
Diamond collaborated with French singer-songwriter Gilbert Bécaud. I think I said that right. I don't know. On the title track of his next album, September Morn, released in December 1979. The single reached the top 20 of the pop chart, and the album peaked at number 10 in February 1980. Any thought that Diamond's popularity might be cooling, however, was belied by his next project. With virtually no acting experience, he agreed to star in a second screen remake of The Jazz Singer. The response was very similar to what had greeted Jonathan Livingston Seagull 7 years earlier, except that this time, Diamond was actually in the picture. Upon release in December 1980, it was panned by critics and became a box office failure. But the Capitol soundtrack, consisting of a Diamond-written and performed song score, was a remarkable hit. Love on the Rocks, co-written by Bécaud, came out in advance of the LP, and it peaked at number 2 in January 1981. By February, the album was up to number 3, having already sold 1 million copies. Hello Again, co-written by Alan Lindgren of Diamond's band. The second single reached number 6 in March. Number 6. And the anthemic America peaked at number 8, number 1 AC, in June as the album kept selling. Eventually, it was certified for sales of 5 million copies, making it Diamond's most successful LP to date. It earned him another Grammy nomination in the category of Best Album of Original Score written for a motion picture or TV special.
Diamond picked a good time to reach a career peak. His record contract was up for renewal, and he re-signed to Columbia in October '81, committing himself to 10 more albums. Wow. For a guaranteed $30 million. It was briefly the most lucrative record contract in history. At the same time, of course, he had a new Columbia album ready, On the Way to the Sky, and promoted this by the single Yesterday's Songs, which topped the AC chart and reached number 11 in the pop chart. AC, I think, is adult contemporary. The album, however, became his first in a decade to miss the top 10, peaking at number 17. The title track, co-written with Carol Bayer Sager, failed to chart as a 45, but a third single, Be Mine Tonight, made the top 40. Having worked with Bayer Sager, Diamond now turned to collaborating with both her and her then-husband, Burt Bacharach, a fellow graduate of the Brill Building era, on his next album, Heartlight. The title song, written by the three and inspired by the release of E.T., emerged in August '82 as a single that hit number 1 in the adult contemporary chart and returned Diamond to the pop top 10, peaking at number 5 in November. Diamond was relatively inactive on the performing front in '83, though we did undertake a week-long series of shows at the Forum in Los Angeles in June, his first LA shows in 6 years. He was, of course, writing, again collaborating with Bacharach and Bayer Sager, and recording. On February 6th of '84, he submitted a new album to Columbia. The label asked him to make changes, but citing the artistic control mandated in his contract, he sued to have the LP released as it was. In April, however, he withdrew his suit and revised the disc per the record company's requirements. He must have lost. After completing the new version, he accepted a $500,000 fee for performing 3 shows. Wow. At Harrah's Trump Plaza in Atlantic City, New Jersey in June, and then undertook a European and American tour. Columbia released the new album Primitive in July, along with the first single Turnaround, co-written by Diamond, Bacharach, and Bayer Sager. Notwithstanding the label's attempt to enhance the commerciality of the disc, it was a disappointing seller. Turnaround lodged in the AAC Top 10, but missed the Pop Top 40, and Primitive peaked at number 35 and only went gold. The worst showing for a new Neil Diamond album since 1969.
He reacted by working up what was intended to be one of his most personal albums, as indicated by its proposed title, The Story of My Life. He submitted the collection to Columbia in September 1985, and for the second time in a row, he had an album rejected by the label. Didn't he guarantee $30 million or something like that?
Yep.
This time, he did not protest publicly. Instead, he accepted Columbia's suggestion that he try to take a more contemporary approach by, for example, working with Maurice White of Earth, Wind and Fire, recording a song written by concurrently popular rocker Bryan Adams, and using such guest stars as Stevie Wonder. Man, this guy's really trying to attach himself to big names here. Not that his name was big at the time, but these people's names were way bigger. Eventually, every song on the album, except the former's title track, The Story of My Life, was replaced. To further promote the upcoming release, now titled Headed for the Future, didn't seem like it, did it? In January 1986, Diamond taped a new television special, Hello Again, for CBS. Then the parent company of Columbia. The special was broadcast May 25th, 2.5 weeks later after the release of Headed for the Future, which itself had been prefaced by the release of the title song written by Diamond, Hensley, and Lindgren as a single in late April. The effort to modernize Diamond's sound succeeded only slightly. The album peaked at number 20, an improvement over Primitive, but like its predecessor, it only went gold. The single missed the top 40, and a second single, The Story of My Life, got only number 11, adult contemporary, as what you said. But if his record sales were disappointing, Diamond's concert tours remained. What's SRO? SRO. An 8-night stand at Madison Square Garden in New York was followed by 14 shows back at the Greek Theater in August. Commemorated by Columbia with another double LP live album, Hot August Night 2, released in October 1987. The album, however, peaked at a disappointing number 59 and didn't even go gold at first, though it has since gone platinum. Appended with a studio recording of I Dreamed a Dream from the musical Les Miserables, which got to number 13 on the AC chart. You know, they earn more money doing live performances anyway, so it doesn't really matter about their album sales. I don't know. That's what I think. I think they make more off of their concerts than their albums.
Yeah, but they still lose a lot on their concerts too. But yeah, they do make a lot on their concerts. So I do believe SRO is standing room only.
Oh, okay.
For his concerts. His concerts remain standing room only. That's what I'm guessing though. Okay, Diamond's main collaborator for his next studio album, The Best Years of Our Lives, was David Foster, who produced it and co-wrote several of the tracks. Released in December of '88 to coincide with an HBO special, the album peaked at number 46 and went gold, with 3 of its tracks making the adult contemporary chart. Much the same response greeted Diamond's next studio album, Lovescape, produced by Peter Asher, the famed producer of James Taylor and Linda Ronstadt, who began to work with Diamond regularly when it appeared in August of '91. It peaked at number 44 and spawned 3 adult contemporary chart entries while taking almost 3 years to go gold. Meanwhile, however, Diamond remained a major force on the concert circuit, taking his Love in the Round tour around the country and the world. In '92, for example, he was said to be the second highest grossing American concert act of the year.
Wow.
In September '92, he released his first seasonal collection, the Christmas album,
Of course.
and promoted it with Neil Diamond's Christmas special on HBO. In January '93, he again re-signed to Columbia for an additional 6 albums.
Oh gosh, that number again.
Yep. The first of these, released in September, was Up on the Roof, Songs from the Brill Building. His treatments of early 60s evergreens like the title song and You've Lost That Loving Feeling, it hit number 28 and went gold. Meanwhile, the singer continued to tour extensively. His grosses for the year exceeded only by U2. That success was reflected by yet another chart-bound concert recording, Live in America, a double CD issued in June of '94. The fall brought the Christmas album Volume 2, only 2 years after his successful predecessor. Also in the fall of '94, Diamond participated in the Frank Sinatra album Duets 2, singing The House I Live In with the Venerable Star.
During 1995, Diamond finally got to work on an album of newly written material, but there was a twist. The man whose songs had sometimes been turned into country hits went to Nashville and held songwriting sessions with country writers, also recording with country stars. The result was Tennessee Moon, released in February 1996, along with a TV special. Man, this guy and his TV specials, bro. Under the Tennessee Moon, broadcast on ABC. The album peaked at number 3 in the country charts and number 14 in the pop charts and went gold. Diamond continued to make events out of his album releases. In October 1998, he issued the movie album, As Time Goes By, a 2-disc... I'm sorry, I had to laugh because it said disc. A 2-disc collection of covers of movie songs like Moon River and Unchained Melody. It reached number 31 and went gold, earning a Grammy nomination for Best Traditional Pop Vocal Performance. As usual, Diamond embarked on a world tour to support it. And as usual, his fans came out, even during a decade when he'd retreated from the front line of recording artists. The singer's live following, if anything, increased. He was named to top solo concert artist in the 90s by Amusement Business magazine. This guy had a long career, man. In 2001, Diamond finally wrote and recorded a new studio album, 3-Chord Opera, released in July. In fact, he did all the writing entirely by himself. The first time he hadn't collaborated with anyone since Serenade in 1974. In 2004, he began working with renowned producer, here he is again, Rick Rubin, a longtime fan who had produced Johnny Cash's 90s comeback album. Man, he rehashes these old artists. I've been noticing that. The resulting album, 12 Songs, was issued in late 2005 to a chorus of positive reviews. An intimate, largely acoustic set, it entered the chart at number 4, Diamond's highest chart placing in 25 years. The following year, he made another movie cameo singing Hava Nagila in the comedy Keeping Up with the Steins. Reuniting in 2008 with Rubin, Diamond's next album, Home Before Dark, was a similarly stripped-down affair and featured a duet with Chicks member Natalie Maines. Is that the Dixie Chicks that they're talking about?
Yeah, I think so.
They call themselves the Chicks now, right? A holiday release, a Cherry Christmas, appeared in 2009, and in 2010, Diamond released Dreams, a covers collection featuring songs by some of his favorite songwriters of the rock and soul era.
So basically, since the 80s, he just takes other people's songs and revamps them, seems like.
It doesn't seem like his album sales were anything stellar, man. I think he's more known for like live performances, huh? That's
pretty much.
That's pretty much what he's popular for, is the live performances. He's probably a good live performer.
Well, people like to hear their favorite songs done live.
He's probably good at it. I mean, he can sing. He can sing. I'm not gonna lie. He can sing.
Man, I used to not be able to stand him, and when I was a kid, I was like, he sounds like he has a mouthful of glass. I was always funny, like, man. My mom would always pop his cassette tape in the car when we're on vacation. I was just like, no, not Neil again. Okay. And we're almost done with this part, folks.
Yep.
In 2011, he was inducted in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, which is very telling, at a ceremony in New York City. And by the end of the summer of 2012, his legacy had been further cemented with a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Also quite telling. Prestigious television appearances ensued in the form of a headline slot on December 2012's centenary edition of the UK's Royal Variety Performance. before Independence Day 2013 found Diamond on a bill at the U.S. Capitol's A Capitol Fourth concert. After a 40-year relationship with Columbia, Diamond signed a recording contract with Capitol. This resulted in the whole of his catalog, incorporating MCA, Columbia, and Bang, being assembled under the umbrella of Universal Music Group, Capitol's owners. Even bigger news was the announcement of Melody Road, his first album for Capitol, produced by Don Was and Jackknife Lee. It appeared in October 2014 and debuted at 3 on the Billboard Top 200. Diamond reunited with the pair of Was and Lee for 2016's holiday-themed Acoustic Christmas. Jeez. Early in 2017, Diamond celebrated the 50th anniversary of his first hit by releasing a triple disc compilation 50 and launching a massive world tour. Later portions of the same tour were canceled after Diamond revealed in January 2018 he'd been diagnosed with Parkinson's disease and would be retiring from live performing. Digging into the vault, he released Hot August Night 3, a 2012 concert captured at Los Angeles Greek Theater later that year. Although no longer performing live, Diamond returned to the studio for 2020's Classic Diamonds, which saw him, surprise, surprise, reinterpreting songs from his catalog, backed by London Symphony Orchestra.
Wow,
when you run out of ideas,
we finally
revamp.
got through it.
In there.
We finally got through this thing, man. He had a long career, man.
That was a long one. Good grief.
Yeah, he had a long career. Did you know that he recently sold his whole music catalog too?
Really?
Yeah. Actually, there's been a lot of artists lately who have been how should I say? There has been a lot of artists who've been selling their catalogs off, to be honest. Yeah, which is kind of weird. Let me get us back here on the Zoom. Hold on for a moment, peeps. Hold on for minutes. There we are. All right, so that's pretty much his career there. We went through a long one.
I would like to point out that once he switched to the label to MCA and all that, and he released that one song, Sweet Caroline, nefarious as it may be, that was when his career took off. We've seen this happen over and over again with these artists, that they release, there's a certain song that they'll release that is like, paying tribute to certain things that the higher up people want them to show certain sides of themselves in public to everybody, and then boom, their career takes off.
It gets to a fork in the road, I guess you can say. It's a fork in the road. They get to this certain point, then they have to make a decision whether you're going to go on the left side or the right side. And you guys know what happens after that. I mean, sometimes, like for groups in particular, usually there's going to be a group, right? They start off as a group, and usually one person always seemed to surpass as a solo artist as opposed to the whole group. So, I think we've talked about this many times before, where they get to this certain point where they're met with something where if they want to continue on with their career to even blow up, they gotta go a certain way. And the way I see it, especially with groups, sometimes there's people in the group that just don't want to, but you know.
And that's usually when the one person will end up going solo.
because it seems to me that that one person is always the most ambitious one, who's willing to do what it takes to get to where they want to get to.
Yep.
And it's been kind of weird lately because now, like, they're just the artists now, they're just straight up promoting Satan. And they're openly openly admitting these things, that yeah, we did sell our souls, which is, you know, I mean, we know now. I mean, not that we didn't know before, but it kind of validates everything that we've been talking about for how many episodes already.
Right. And it's very strange because they're selling something that is beyond that. They're trading something of their own self that's beyond value, just for temporary physical gain. Really sad, actually.
Well, I mean, I talk about this all the time on my fellowships, man. It's because a lot of people have been programmed about what success really is, and they want to be loved by the world, dude. That's pretty much what it is, you know. And I think going through this journey myself, I'm not talking about a music career, but I'm just saying my journey with God. I've become to learn that all the things that I've been taught about what quote success is, it's not really what it is. Because at the end of the day, you're still this empty person. But you know, ever since I started having this relationship with Christ and being in communion with Christ every day in prayer and things that I experience, I feel a lot more fulfilled than I have compared to how I used to feel before. Even though I used to make a lot more money before, from the job I used to do, man, I had an abundance of money that I spent foolishly. But at the end of the day, I always felt like I was chasing and chasing and chasing, but still empty. But now that I have a lot less, as far as like resources or whatever this world uses for its own currency, I feel a lot more filled as a person. I feel a lot more filled spiritually as well. And, you know, I've come to terms with that. And you know, I feel a lot more joy. I feel a lot less pressure, you know?
Right.
It's a beautiful thing. It really is. And I wish that a lot of people who are on the fence would at least tap into that to see what I'm talking about. I mean, I can always tell somebody something. It's hard for me to articulate stuff because I'm not an articulable person. It's something that you have to experience for yourself in order for you to kind of understand what this whole thing is about.
Yeah, for sure. Right.
But we see these.
You know,
go ahead.
It's just like someone could tell something, the same thing over and over, but until they experience it, it never really sinks in as deeply.
And I honestly think that these musical artists, or even people in the whole entertainment business, it seems to me that they're chasing for something, man. And even when they attain so much fame and so much money, there's still an emptiness with them.
Well, yeah, they're seeking material gain instead of immaterial gain.
It's a very strange thing, you know. Even after they even if they were to hit their first million, they still feel empty, you know.
Yeah.
All right, so let's talk about the song that we're going to be talking about today. I did find this I found the article on the same website about this particular song. We'll be talking about the song "Girl, You'll Be a Woman Soon." And if that title doesn't tell you what this dude's all about, then
especially in light of, after taking into consideration what he really meant by Sweet Caroline.
Mm-hmm. And
this is a furtherance of that.
We'll touch on that too, because I did find an article about him admitting to what he meant by that song. So let me go ahead and share this with everybody first, and then I'll share it with you. And that's that. Let me share it with you.
Yeah, this song really like kind of freaked me out when I first saw it.
All right, can you see it?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll go ahead and start this off. Okay, so apparently this was written by the article was written by the same person who wrote his bio. So it reads, after Neil Diamond's fourth single for Bang Records, You Got to Me, failed to replicate the success of Cherry Cherry, despite being cast in the same upbeat style, Diamond tried a different track with his fifth single, Girl, You'll Be a Woman Soon, returning to the brooding ballad format at his first 45, Solitary Man. This time, the theme inspired by all the teenage girls he was seeing in his audiences was the time honored one of the misunderstood boy trying to get somewhere with a girl who is being told he's not your kind and the boy's no good by her elders. He reminds her that she's growing up quickly and is going to need some romance in her life, adding the hint of another much used pop song theme in which the girl is being told she's too young for love. Without overwhelming the ever-present acoustic guitar, Artie Butler's arrangement introduced strings, vibrato-laden electric guitar arpeggios, and heavy drum fills, over which Diamond sang in his most sensitive, pained voice. Girl, You'll Be a Woman Soon was released in March 1967 and entered the Billboard Hot 100 for the week ending April 8, peaking at number 10 on May 27. It thus restored Diamond to top 10 status. Bang included it on his second LP. Just for You. Pardon me, I'm burping right now. Pardon me. Where was I? Just for You, and on the compilation Neil Diamond's Greatest Hits, Shiloh, and Double Gold. Diamond recorded a concert version for Hot August Night, and after acquiring the Bang Masters, put the original version on the compilation's classics. The Early Years, The Greatest Hits, In My Lifetime, and The Essential Neil Diamond, of all which reached the charts. There were several cover versions over the years before Girl, You'll Be a Woman Soon was given a new lease on life in the early 1990s. More than 25 years its initial popularity. In 1992, the alternative rock band Urge Overkill put its cover of the song on an EP called Stull. Film director Quentin Tarantino used the Urge Overkill version prominently in his critically acclaimed 1994 Pulp Fiction, as a result of which it appeared on the Triple Platinum soundtrack and was released as a single that peaked at number 59 on December 17, 1994, also placing at number 11 on Billboard's Modern Rock charts, track charts. As had been true with the success of UB40's rendition of Red Red Wine, a Diamond song of similar vintage in the 1980s, the effect was to recontextualize the song, and it began to earn more covers and inclusions on albums of movie songs. Among those who have recorded Girl, You'll Be a Woman Soon are Jerome Richardson, Cliff Richard, the Beatle Orchestra, the Starlight Orchestra and Singers, the Countdown Singers, the Flying Pickets, Pure Machine, 16 Volt, the BB Band, and D'Angelo Orchestra, Third World, and David Essex. So that's the story of that song. Before we go to the lyrics, let's see here. Let's go to the article first. let's go to this article first about him admitting to what Sweet Caroline is about. After we do this, then we'll go to the lyrics of the song that we're talking about. You see it, Java?
Neil Diamond reveals secret of Sweet Caroline. To fans across the world, it is one of the emblematic songs of the 60s, a rousing, catchy love song to a girl known simply as Sweet Caroline. Now, almost 40 years after its release, the singer-songwriter Neil Diamond has revealed the inspiration behind the song. The Caroline in question was Caroline Kennedy, now the only surviving child of President John F. Kennedy. I've never discussed it with anybody before, intentionally. Yeah, I'll bet you would be put in jail. He intentionally didn't discuss it with anyone. Diamond, 66, told Associated Press, I thought maybe I would tell it to Caroline when I met her someday.
Wait, hold on. He was 66 when he admitted this?
When he admitted it finally, yeah.
He was 66. Okay. Just want to confirm that.
Yeah, right. Symbolic. Diamond came clean, telling both the press and the song's subject about its origin. When he finally met the now Caroline Kennedy Schlossberg and performed the song for her 50th birthday. Creepy.
It was number one. It was a number one record, and probably is the biggest, most important song of my career. I'm sorry. And I have to thank her for the inspiration, he said. Oh, I bet you do. I bet you wanted to thank her. I'm happy to have gotten it off my chest and to have expressed it to Caroline. I thought she might be embarrassed, but she seemed to be struck by it and really, really happy. The inspiration for the song came from the from a photograph of the then 9-year-old. She was 9 years old. Of the then 9-year-old Kennedy, the singer saw in a magazine while staying at a hotel in Memphis. It was a picture.
Yeah,
It was a picture of a little girl dressed to the nines in her riding gear next to her pony, Diamond said. It was such an innocent, wonderful picture. I immediately felt there was a song in there.
I don't believe it for a second that he just got that off of a picture. I think he had dwelt on her for a while.
There definitely was more thinking to that. He may have seen the picture and had these deep thoughts and started to,
Yeah, but I don't think that he randomly, resaw the picture a few years later and was like, oh, I'll just write it about this.
Yeah, no.
I don't think so.
No, I don't think so either.
A few years later, Diamond penned the song inspired by the photograph. It became a hit, reviving his flagging career and eventually selling more than 2 million copies, providing countless karaoke singers with a chance to shine. The enduring hit recently reappeared in the singles chart in the U.S. thanks in part to the fact that it is belted out during home games at Fenway Park, home to the Boston Red Sox baseball team. I think they consider it good luck, he told the Associated Press, adding that the Red Sox have become his favorite baseball team.
I think, that's the end of the article right there. But there it is. He admitted it.
He admitted it, but he tried to downplay it by saying it was part of a magazine. So knowing that, and then we come to this, this is written after Sweet Caroline.
Hold on, I think I have that. Let me see let me just see if I have the photo here somewhere, because I think I dug up the picture somewhere, if anything. Is it here? Let me see. Yeah, there it is. I think it was this picture right here. You see it?
That's one of the pictures, but there's one with her with like her riding, all of her riding gear on.
Okay, hold on. I think it's down here. There.
That one. He claims it's off of that picture.
It was from the Life magazine right there.
But it's I seriously doubt it's because of this picture.
I mean, he may have seen her and have these certain kind of thoughts. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's a cop-out to kind of say that, yeah, I was inspired by this picture. Yeah, but what were you thinking when you were looking at this picture?
Exactly.
That's the part that he's not sharing, is what he was actually thinking. He may have just said, oh, I saw this picture and I felt inspired. Yeah, well, what was the deep thinking into the inspiration to make that particular song?
Right. Well, if you look at, I think it's the album cover for this album that this song was on itself is kind of revealing. It's Neil Diamond standing there, like one hand is grabbing his crotch in a very suggestive manner.
Really? I mean,
for that song. I don't know. It's just weird. His whole thing is pretty creepy, basically.
All right. So here are the
and
lyrics.
then he came out with this song.
Yeah. Here are the lyrics.
All the teenagers in his crowd.
Yeah. I wonder what he was thinking when he saw the teenage fans, especially the female teenage fans.
Right.
All right. So this is what we'll do. We're gonna go ahead and read. We'll read the lyrics. We'll talk about it a little bit, and I'm gonna have to cut the video after that on the YouTube side of things because we're gonna go ahead and go into the live performance video. I wish I could share it with you guys in the YouTube lands. I did drop my link tree there if you want to come over to either my Twitch channel or my Foxhole/Pilled channel. It's all there in the link tree. So we'll go ahead and we'll talk. We'll read this. We'll talk about it a little bit, and then we'll depart with you guys in the YouTube lands, and we'll continue this discussion on the Foxhole and Pilled. And I'm also gonna have to cut it for Facebook and Twitter. I kind of want to put a feeler out for Twitter because it seems that Twitter is more, it's more open to do things now. So I may leave my Twitter there. So that's another option over there if you want to check it out. I'll put a feeler out there and see how the Twitter thing goes. So there's three places you can catch the music video if you want to just hang out. You know, it's not to enjoy particular video. It's just live performance. We're just going to be talking about stuff. But anyhow, let's go ahead and go here with the lyrics of.
See, in the little description right there, it says he wrote it for this one for the ladies, but he actually clarified that he wrote it for the teenage ladies.
Yeah, with the thing that we were reading earlier. Yes. All right. So this song is called "Girl, You'll Be a Woman Soon." I'll start with the verse 1 and the chorus, and then you can go ahead with verse 2. Verse 1, girl, you'll be a woman soon. I love you so much. Can't count all the ways I've died for you, girl, and all they can say is, he's not your kind. They never get tired of putting me down, and I'll never know when I come around what I'm gonna find. Don't let them make up your mind. Don't you know? Girl, you'll be a woman soon. Please, come take my hand. Girl, you'll be a woman soon. Soon, you'll need a man.
And he's singing this. Okay, so first off, he's singing this as an adult, to teenagers.
Mm-hmm.
And he's talking about how he loves them so much. And don't let them make up your mind, about him being a creep. There's take my hand when I come around. He's, it talks about him coming around again.
Mm-hmm.
Like He's going to hang out. It just makes you wonder about all the groupies and stuff that like after the concerts and
Oh,
stuff.
guarantee, man. Come on, man. There's a lot of I can almost guarantee that there's a lot of underage people that get into tour buses or backstage or any after parties. Guarantee.
Yeah. And so he continues with his weird lyrics towards kids. I've been misunderstood for all of my life. Mm-hmm. But what they're saying, girl, it cuts like a knife. The boy's no good. Well, I finally found what I've been looking for in a teenager. But if they get their chance, they'll end it for sure. Yeah, any normal parent would.
Yeah, and he is right. It will cut like a knife.
They'll, yeah, exactly. Baby, I've done all I could. Now it's up to you. Then it says, girl, you'll be a woman soon. Please, come take my hand. Girl, you'll be a woman soon. So soon, you'll need a man. So it's like he's putting in his word early, which is otherwise known as grooming.
Mm-hmm.
Then it just repeats all that.
He's just pretty much saying, hey, it's gonna happen anyway. So why not I show you how to be a woman? Right?
Right. And it's also like putting his name in the hat early on. It's like, someday you're going to be an adult and you'll need somebody. So you should go for me. And it talks about loving them and all this other stuff that shouldn't be said to teenagers, in my view.
No, I agree.
I was just shocked that this song existed. I couldn't believe it.
Well, the title says it all, man. Not to mention that he said that he was singing this stuff to his teenage fan base.
Yeah, specifically to the teenage females at his shows.
Well, let's clarify that. Let's just show the article here what he said, in case people missed it. Let's see where did it say there. I know I read it here somewhere, right?
Yeah, it's at the end of the paragraph above that.
Which paragraph?
Like if you scroll up a little bit. Right there. This time
here, you read it.
If inspired by all the teenage girls he was seeing in his audience.
Oh, there it is. There it is. There we go. Let me highlight that. There. This time, the theme inspired by all the teenage girls he was seeing in his audience. Jeez, man. That's the entertainment industry for you, man.
Yep. And this is back in 1967. And so some of these things slipped through the cracks that, people didn't really pay as much attention.
Let me get us back here on the Zoom. All right. Are we back here on the Zoom? Yeah, it looks like we're back. Yeah. So that's we don't have to say much on that. I mean, we can say a lot, but you know how the YouTube algos go, man. I can be canceled just for saying like certain kind of things, and I think
there's certain words we're not going to say, but it's all implied in what
I think
wrote.
I think just the title of the song itself and the motivation behind it, I think everything says it all there. I think we've explained well enough for you to understand and make your own conclusions about what you think about this dude.
Right.
And not to mention, the other song too, Sweet Caroline. Why? Why? But this is where we're at now. Well, not now, but it was like that back then, but now it's even worse. Now it's just even worse. It's just out of control now.
Out of control.
It's way out of control. It's pretty blatant. But I think this is all for a purpose. I honestly think that, for one, and I don't want to seem a certain way, but I think the general public has kind of let this happen by accepting. It's one of those things where you give them an inch and they take a whole mile. This is one of it, and we see this with the alphabet community. We gave them a little bit, and and look where we're at now. Like, they're forcing us to think certain ways. This is where we're at now, and this is why it's dangerous to be allowing certain things. I know people want freedom, but in actuality, you're bonding yourself you're bonding yourself to something that is not good. When there's too much of a good thing, it usually turns out bad. And this is like, the flesh would always want more and more, and try to go down. It wants more than what it has right now. It tries to top it all the time with something else. And this is where we're at. I don't know if I'm explaining that well enough, but you understand what I'm trying to say, right, Java?
Well, and with each step of a headway that they make with it, and they're trying to normalize a lot of this stuff.
Yep.
Then they try to use it to recruit other people.
Even this stuff they're normalizing now.
Mm-hmm.
This stuff, relations with children. They're trying to normalize this stuff. It's
Yep. Tracy PCB said it right. She just wrote, keep legalizing sin, and here we are.
Hey, what's going on, Tracy? I haven't seen you in a bit. But yeah, you couldn't have said it right better than that. Legalizing sin is exactly what's going on. Just because there are freedoms doesn't mean we can do anything that we want. I think people misunderstand what that means. But this is where we're at now, man. It's unfortunate. It's very dangerous. But the way this whole world is going now, and I don't want to sound like I'm a Debbie Downer, but just based on the direction that everything else has gone, this is the path that we're going on right now. Which is why I believe that I don't think that there's any man out there who can fix these problems. This is just me. I believe that God's intervention is very needed now. He's the only one. He's the only one who can fix all of this. It can't even be fixed. It has to be ended. It has to end. It has to end. So that's what I think. You got anything before I let the people on the YouTubes and Facebooks go? You want to tell them about your show and all that stuff?
Well, I'll just say, just remember to stay on your path, and don't let a lot of the craziness in the world knock you from where you're going and what what you and God's relationship together are. Just stay strong and stay on the path.
Yeah. It's a path that's long suffering, but I think at the end of it all, not that I'm doing it for the rewards, I'm doing it because it's the right thing. I think this whole suffering of what we're going through right now in this world, I think it's going to be over. And I don't in the next life, in heaven, we're not going to be going through this stuff anymore. That's just what I think. So I thank you guys on the YouTube side. If you're still there, thank you guys. Let me say hello to everybody first before I let you go. I think I saw Noel P over there, Real Joy, Teresa, Cynthia Ava, and AJ Blunt. Thank you guys for coming by on the YouTube side. Appreciate you guys. Let me see who else is over here on the. I don't think I have anybody on the Facebook side, Twitter side. Yeah, I don't think I have anybody on there either. But hey, if you want to come by and just watch the music video with us and hang out just for a little bit, we'll be on Twitter, we'll be on the Foxhole / Pilled and Twitch. So you're more than welcome to come by and hang out. Like I dropped the links over there. I believe Java has also. Are you still doing your podcast shows?
Yeah, I'm still doing my podcast and my live streams.
Is that 4 minutes and 20 seconds, right?
Yeah.
You want to promo that?
Well, yeah, it's actually on lots of platforms. It's on Spotify, Apple Music, Google Podcast, Amazon Music Podcast, TuneIn Radio, iHeartRadio, Podbean, and Podchaser. 4 minutes and 20 seconds. It's really short. It's just a comedic break for the day. It's like less than 5 minutes. Bunch of comedy and random topics. And when I have characters on and stuff on there and sketches, I'll do all the voices and sound effects myself.
He's pretty good at that. You gotta check him out.
And it's pretty fun. So if you need a break during the day, feel free to check it out at any of those locations.
Well, I want to thank you guys out in the YouTube lands, Facebook lands. Like I said, you can check us out over here at the Foxhole / Pilled, Twitch and Twitter. So hopefully I see you guys for fellowship, possibly tomorrow. I don't know. I'm really not consistent on my schedules when it comes to fellowships. I just do them when I have the time. But the only way to know when I'm going to be going on is follow me on social medias. I post my schedules there all the time. And that's how you get your heads up. And also, please hit the like, subscribe, share button, all that stuff on the YouTube side to help spread the word. Anyhow, thank you guys on the YouTubes. Thank you guys on Facebook. And we'll see you again. God bless you guys.